Tuesday, July 21st, 2020 Lone Tree City Council meeting. We did open our regular meeting and convened an exec session, so this is the continuation of our regular meeting. I'm going to wait till 7:05 to allow members of our public who are joining us virtually to connect to our meeting. Before we begin officially, though, I'd like to go over some housekeeping. In order to comply with the 6th Amended Public Health Order 20-28, which recommends against government-held meetings of more than 10 people, the city is limiting physical attendance at public meetings to only essential staff, applicants, and elected officials. We will continue to provide access to public meetings via electronic participation for members of the public at this time. All attendees are required to wear face coverings when entering and exiting the building and within 6 feet of another person. The city also implements symptom monitoring measures for attendees, such as temperature checks and completion of the city's facility health screening survey before entering the building. During our virtual meetings, public comment can be provided in 3 different ways. Comments that were submitted in writing prior to meetings will be read into the record by a staff member during the public comment portion of the agenda. If you would like to type a public comment during the public comment portion of the agenda, click the Ask a Question in the sidebar of the virtual meeting and enter your name and address in the message window along with your public comment. Your name and comment will be read into the record by a staff person on your behalf. These messages are not visible to other members of the public watching the meeting. If you would like to speak to council live using your telephone, please indicate that in the Ask a Question box and submit your name, address, and telephone number. You will receive a call back from the city staff, and you can publicly state your comment via phone. All comments should be directed to City Council, and we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Again, a reminder that even though you're typing these in the Ask a Question box, this is not a question and answer portion of our council meeting. Public comment provides the opportunity for the public to present their opinions and thoughts and feedback to council. Council will then direct staff to take any follow-up action. Again, we are waiting till 7:05 to officially begin our meeting to allow for those of you connecting virtually to ensure that you're with us when we begin. So again, we're just going to wait for about 2 more minutes before we reopen our regular meeting. Okay, good evening. It is 7:05. We will begin the Lone Tree July 21st City Council meeting. I'm going to reopen our meeting and ask that you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are no amendments to the agenda. It is adopted as published. Are there any conflicts of interest from council?
None here.
Great. All right, moving on to public comment. Again, I did go over this briefly while we were waiting for the 7:05 start time, but I want to remind everyone that there are 3 ways to submit public comment during our virtual meeting. One, any comments that were submitted in writing prior to the meeting will be read into the record by staff. If you are interested in providing a comment during our meeting, you can click in the Ask a Question box of our virtual meeting, type your name and your address, and type in your question, and it will be read aloud by one of our staff members. And if you would like to participate via phone to provide your comment, again, provide your name, address, and phone number in the Ask a Question box in our virtual meeting, and a staff member will contact you via phone, and you will read your own comment or state your comment via telephone. Again, your information is not visible to any other members of the public, only to the city staff. And even though you're submitting them in the Ask a Question box, this is not a question and answer portion of the council meeting. This is the opportunity for you to provide feedback to us, and we will direct staff with any follow-up action, or we will follow up as needed. I will ask our city clerk if we have anybody that has submitted public comment this evening.
Mayor Millet, I don't see any public comments submitted in advance or any requests for public comment in the chat box.
Okay, well, we will move on then to our announcements. And again, more information can always be found on the city website at cityoflonetree.com or lonetreeartcenter.org. We are excited that Tunes on the Terrace will be back in a smaller format. We've got the first event coming this Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. in our Terrace Theater outdoors. More information about ticket sales and the safety precautions we have taken to make sure that everyone comes, is social distanced, and is safe while they're here. Again, www.lonetreeartcenter.org for that. We'll be holding a community blood drive on Wednesday, July 29th from 11 to 3:45 p.m. also at the Lone Tree Arts Center event hall. Please visit the city website for sign-up information. And we hope you can join us for one or both of those events. On our consent agenda this evening is minutes from our July 7th regular council meeting, claims for the period of July 30th through July 13th, 2020, and our May 2020 treasurer's report. I will look for a motion on consent from council.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Moving on to administrative matters. First up is a public hearing on the consideration of a hotel and restaurant liquor license application for Duo Zhang Inc. doing business as Poke One at 9227 East Lincoln Avenue, Suite 500. I will request a motion for council to recess from our council meeting and convene as the City of Lone Tree Liquor Licensing Authority new licensing division.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. I am now going to open the public hearing and ask our city clerk, Jay Robb, to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, we're bringing you a hotel and restaurant liquor license, which is a full alcohol license for Poke One, which is located at 9227 East Lincoln Avenue, Suite 500 over in the Heritage Hills Shopping Center. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. If you don't know what Poke is, to put a brief explanation for you, that it's a fusion between Japanese and Hawaiian sushi. They mix raw fish into salads. If that's your thing, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Again, I think we all know where this is located, over by our Safeway just off of Heritage Hill Circle. This is the diagram of the 1 mile radius where a petition was circulated within this radius to demonstrate needs and desires of the neighborhood from surrounding residents and businesses. You see the summary of the petition results where they attempted to contact 378 individuals or businesses and collected 114 signatures supporting this liquor license and 1 opposed. Your packet of material also includes the application, the diagram of the premises, the individual history record of the applicant, liquor training questions, the training certificate from our restaurant owner, the petition, and other application materials. I will go ahead and say that we submitted for concurrent review for this application, and the state has already signed off on the application. They merely wait for the local authority to sign off and give their stamp of approval. Again, the diagram is in your packet, but we'd also wanted to provide it as a visual. Very long floor plan. They have actually been closed for the last 3 months to do some renovations. So they used the recent shutdown as an opportunity to revamp the restaurant. And our restaurant owner is named Dan May, and she has owned this restaurant for 1.5 years. And the restaurant has actually been in Lone Tree for approximately 2 years. I'll also go ahead and say that the background check for Dan did come back with absolutely no criminal violations in her background. She also submitted the interrogatories from council related to various liquor questions that we have asked other applicants in the past. So we wanted to give you a summary of her responses, although the full sheet of questions is also in front of you. But just to touch on the major points, she has not owned any other liquor license establishments, but she's already received formal seller server training for selling alcohol. This is a very small business, so she is the owner and manager. Her husband also helps out at the restaurant, and they have 1 other employee. So for now, she expects to take what she has learned from her seller server training and kind of teach those lessons on to her employees, if you will. They don't have a formal policy drafted as of yet, but they will draft one as far as how to deal with selling, serving, and different types of situations that they may encounter. Some of these policies are also summarized in their questions, which include not accepting vertical identification, a warning for first-time employees should they make a mistake, and then a second mistake would result in termination. And they plan on elaborating on other policies about how to establish alcohol sales between customers and employees. If you have any questions for me, feel free. Otherwise, I will go ahead and introduce Dan May, who is the owner. She does have an interpreter here. We wanted her to feel comfortable. And so Lily Chen is at the table. If there are any,
Welcome.
if there are any questions or anything is lost in translation.
Okay, great, Jay, thanks. Any questions for Jay before we let him clean off the podium and go?
Right, I will do that.
You could just wipe down the podium, and then we'll ask Dan May to come up. And again, thank you to the interpreter for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time, and want to make sure that Ms. May is comfortable and confident with us. So just give him a couple seconds to get that all cleaned up and ready for you. That's the cleanest podium in town.
Hi.
Good
My
evening.
name is Dan May.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, guys.
So did you have any prepared comments for us, or are you just here to respond to questions from us? So I don't know. Did you understand me?
Yeah.
Do you have anything you would like to share with us?
Yeah.
Just
Usually, I just stand pretty close.
hang on one second.
Hold on.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Is Ms. May, yeah, so if Ms. May is comfortable standing, I mean, excuse me, if Lily's comfortable standing next to Ms. May, yeah, that's fine, so she can make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and so and maybe just stay 6 feet apart would be great. That's great, if you're good there. And my question was if there was any prepared comments that Ms. May had for us, or she's just standing ready for questions from council. No, for our questions. Okay, wonderful. Well, first, let me say thank you for your business in the city of Lone Tree. Appreciate the fact that you chose to make that investment in our city. I think you know and have understood through the process with our city clerk how important legal liquor sales is to the city of Lone Tree, and it is something we take very, very seriously. We appreciate the time you spent on filling out the kind of our questions about alcohol training and service that you plan to have in your restaurant. And so I'm going to ask council if there's any follow-up questions based on your responses that they have. All right, so is there anything from council? Any questions? No, okay. So you know what it's like to do business in the city of Lone Tree because you've already been in operation successfully for 1.5 years. And we're a small community, we're a residential community, but we're growing and we're so proud of the employers and the businesses that we have here. But at our heart, we still have that small town feel. And we want to make sure that everyone in our community is safe, stays safe, and that kids in our community are not being served liquor when they are not 21 years old. So, and they're tricky. I have a 20-year-old. Those kids are tricky. So I appreciate the fact that you're not going to be taking vertical IDs. I appreciate the fact that you have gone through the training and that you are instructing your employees about how to adhere to best practices. And this is just a reminder to you or information for you to know that we do compliance checks in the city of Lone Tree. And no one tries to be tricky with the compliance check. It's actually they don't give you a fake ID. It's actually, if you ask for an ID, they show you their driver's license, which clearly indicates they're not old enough. And unfortunately, sometimes people forget or don't ask to see the IDs, or they think they recognize the customer and they don't check the ID every time. And so some businesses, when they fail these compliance checks, there's consequences. And so we just want to make sure you're aware of the fact that if we issue this license, there will be compliance checks, and that just to be very mindful with your employees and with your liquor service that we take it seriously. We want you to be successful in your business, but we don't want kids who are underage drinking or people being overserved in the business. So you've been very thorough. I do not have any additional questions for you. I just want to let you, that's my little warning that I give everybody that comes before us for a liquor license. We take it seriously and we want you to as well. Okay, so if council doesn't have any other questions, this is a public hearing, so I will, look at me remembering, check to see if if we have got any questions that have come in over on our public hearing.
Mayor, I'm not seeing any requests for public comment.
Okay, I'm going to close our public hearing then, and I will look for a motion from council on the liquor license. And Jay, do you have the motion slide?
Oh, yeah.
I move to approve a new Colorado hotel and restaurant liquor license for Duo Duo Zhang Incorporated, doing business as Poke One, based on the findings of fact set forth in the staff report.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Congratulations. Thank you for, again, choosing to do business in Lone Tree, and appreciate you staying safe, keeping the kids safe, and best of luck with the liquor license. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, you'll see us in there. We love Pokey. All right, moving on. Resolution 20-11, a resolution approving the amended and restated establishing intergovernmental agreement for the Douglas County Housing Authority a multi-jurisdictional housing authority, and our city attorney, Linda Michau, is going to present on this. That is the most challenging name for a IGA I've ever read. I thought there was a typo. I was like,
Basic
huh?
one, too.
It is awkward.
Yes.
I wasn't responsible for
For naming it.
the
Well,
IGA.
clearly, we know that.
Mayor and members of City Council, Linda Michau, City Attorney. I'm here to present the amended and restated establishing IGA for the Douglas County Housing Authority, also known as the Douglas County Housing Partnership, which is a multi-jurisdictional housing authority. Next slide, please. So just by way of background, this housing authority was formed way back in 2003 by the city of Lone Tree and the towns of Castle Rock and Parker and Douglas County. And the purpose, which is just taken from their website, is to address the lack of affordable housing for people who work and live in the Douglas County region. And there are other goals and purposes for which the authority was formed that are included in your council staff report. Next slide. So the housing authority or the partnership operates under currently under an IGA among the jurisdictions that fund it. Those are Castle Rock, Parker, Lone Tree, and Douglas County. It's governed by an 8-member board, of which Councilmember Shaw is currently the chair, and each jurisdiction appoints 2 board members. And they have programs including down payment assistance, rental properties, and they even offer foreclosure mediation and other sorts of educational programs. And I know that Diane Leavesley was here at your last study session and went into more detail about those programs. Next slide. So the purpose of the amended and restated IGA is to allow Castle Pines to participate as a member jurisdiction. That would increase the board of directors from 8 to 10. There are also other cleanup provisions regarding voting among the board members and how new members may be joined. The Housing Authority's legal counsel also cleaned up some other provisions, moved some to the bylaws, and then also did some conforming revisions in conformance with state law. Next slide. So key points of the IGA: it is a separate legal entity. Any debts of the Housing Authority are not those of the city or any of its participating members. Each participating city or town jurisdiction is budgeted or is participating with a financial contribution of $35,000 annually. That is, of course, subject to your annual appropriation. And the county's participation is at $60,000 annually. There is a termination provision if the city ever wanted to remove itself from participation, and that requires a 90-day advance notice prior to the end of any calendar year. And then, of course, there are powers that are authorized under state law. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or if Councilmember Shaw has anything to add.
I'll defer to Councilmember Shaw, Chair of the Housing Partnership. Any comments you'd like to make?
Thank you. I think the partnership has done very good work. I personally have learned a lot about the mechanisms for funding housing and the work that we've done to try and help seniors in Lone Tree, for example, who are looking at reverse mortgages is important to our community as well. So I would urge you all to support this.
And we've got one more member paying
IGA.
dues. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay. Any questions of council for either our city attorney or Wynn? Anything? And I know we've been over this, and I think it's a great program, and I think we really owe gratitude to the folks from the Douglas County Partnership of Governments that started this off, I don't know how many years ago. But so I don't have any questions, and with that, I will ask Councilmember Shaw if she'd like to make the motion.
I would like that. Thank you. I move to adopt Resolution 20-11, approving an amended and restated establishing intergovernmental agreement for the Douglas County Housing Authority, a multi-jurisdictional housing authority.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Great. And again, good work. Moving on, our motion to reschedule our Monday, August 3rd, 2020 regular council meeting back to Tuesday, August 4th. See what happens when we plan ahead. Our city clerk, Jay Robb, will walk us through this very simple but important change.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Well, there we go again,
Yeah.
trying to predict 2020. Similar to the meeting that was rescheduled in June, we heard from Chief Wilson that National Night Out is actually getting pushed to the first Tuesday in October. So that's the new plan. So there wasn't a need to meet as a body on Monday, August 3rd. And so the recommendation from staff is that we go back, for consistency reasons, that we go back and meet on the first Tuesday in August, August 4th.
Okay.
And
No,
yeah, I'm not sure if you have any questions.
Yeah, not rocket science, but are there any questions? If not, somebody make that motion.
It begs the question then, so if it's the first Tuesday of October.
October.
We schedule that one.
We are not even
don't we
attempting. We're not even attempting. If we do that, there'll be a bomb cyclone
Schedule it.
in October. We are not planning in advance anymore. Don't tell community development, we're done with the planning. All right, so I don't think there's any questions, just a lot of bad jokes.
Yeah.
So I will look for a motion.
I move to reschedule the Monday, August 3rd, 2020 regular city council meeting to Tuesday, August 4th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'll see you all on August 4th. Unanimous. Thanks,
Thank
Jay. All right, next on our agenda, Jay's got to clean the thing down again. Public Works Resolution 20-12, a resolution of the City of Lone Tree, Colorado, accepting a quitclaim deed from Club Terrace Condominium Associates, Inc. for Miles Drive right-of-way. And it is not Jacob, per my notes. It's Justin, our esteemed director. Okay, Justin, what's going on? You getting us property? You getting us something for nothing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. I'm not going to reread that probably because
Nope.
it's very long. So I'm going to go to the next slide and talk a little about background of what we're bringing tonight for consideration. So this goes all the way back to 1999. And there was a special warranty deed at the time that basically Club Terrace Condominium Association conveyed a lot of the roads that were built in that community to the city of Lone Tree and included many streets, including Miles Drive. However, a portion of Miles Drive was erroneously omitted from that special warranty deed, and that's what we're here tonight to talk about. Next slide. So you may wonder, 1999 and now 2019, Lisa Albers, previous staff member, was very detailed, was able to determine that as we were paving that street in 2019, there was some discrepancy in the paperwork, and it appeared that there was never an official document that did transfer that section. So, and I'll show an image in a second. Basically, half of Miles Drive was transferred to the city and half was not.
So they owe us some maintenance money, evidently. No?
I did ask our previous public works director, and we've been maintaining that street for a very long time,
Yeah.
and have continued to maintain it. We did pave it, so we didn't just pave half the road. We felt that that wasn't the best option. So we did continue to pave the road in 2019. Since then, the city has been working with the community to get this cleaned up and this paperwork together, and we have to really fix that omission. Next slide. So you can see on the graphic up here, the section that is in purple, so Miles Drive, right, is sort of sneaks back in there and comes down towards Timberline Road. again, the section that is in purple was dedicated to the city as right-of-way back in 1999. The other section that you see in yellow is the half of the road that was not at the time. Again, I think the intention was, it should have been included, all the rest of the roads in, Lone Oak Court, Lone Maple Lane, all these other streets were conveyed at the time, and this section should have been conveyed at the time. But again, it's sort of a piece of paperwork that's held out for quite some time. Any questions on that section or anything related to the image? It's fairly straightforward, but, okay.
Yeah, anybody have anything?
So
No.
again, it's a pretty simple project, but it is something I think we'd like to get cleaned up before a few years from now we go and do more work on that road, and we'd like to get this kind of fully into the city right away and have this addressed at this point.
Great, thank you. Okay, any questions from council? Mike would have a lot of explaining to do to his neighbors if, all right, I don't think we have any
I'm glad
questions.
we've maintained it over time.
Oh, of course we have, and God bless that
Sooner
Lisa
had we
Albers,
not,
I
yeah.
miss her.
This was in the very beginning, and when I was here, I was like, this is an interesting one.
Yeah,
So we do have a suggested motion on the next one.
that'd be great. Let's see that motion. All right, Mike, we'll let you do this one so you can go home in good stead.
Thank you. I move to approve Resolution 20-12, a resolution of the City of Lone Tree, Colorado, accepting a quitclaim deed from Club Terrace Condominium Association, Inc. for Miles Drive right-of-way with the following condition: HOA acceptance and confirmation of legal description.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, we took it off their plate, potentially.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming in for this. All right, now we have council comments, and let's start with Mike.
I would do a shout out for the South Metro Fire Department on their response last night to an unexpected fire in Masters Park. The condominium building caught on fire, and they were there promptly and set the area safe in terms of residents, extinguished the fire. There were two individuals in the condominium had some concerns, and they were treated by the paramedics at the scene, but did not require any long-term treatment. But we don't think about our fire department on a day-to-day basis. We don't have many fires in Lone Tree, and it's nice to know when there is an incident that they're going to be there and do their job and do it well. I was just passed along, I heard a personal note from a neighbor who was aware that a young child was kind of alarmed by this fire, and that beyond the call of duty, one of our local firemen took the time out to sit down and talk to the young lady about the nature of safety in the community and reassure her that these sorts of things don't happen very often. And as I understand, went a long way towards ameliorating the concern that the young lady had in terms of the trauma of a fire. So that was good. The only other thing I'd mention is regarding the Cherry Creek Water Quality Basin and our duty there to try to maintain the quality of the water in that area for public use. There was a plume earlier in July, and it required shutting down of the reservoir for swimming. It was still kept open for boating, but that you may hear something from residents about that in terms of their use of the reservoir. This is not a common event. They're not seeing a plume there since 2014. So it's been a while since they've had to deal with the plume. It's one of those conditions that you'd like to do something about, but there isn't a lot you can do about it. The Water Quality Authority is concerned about it, and there are many things we do in terms of monitoring the quality of the water and trying to make sure that the water meets the standards. But when Mother Nature comes along with the right combination of weather, these sorts of things can happen. So just an awareness issue for you in terms of, we did have an incident at the reservoir.
Thanks, Mike. Jay.
All right, so next week will be my 20th year as a Lone Tree resident. Actually, ironically and sadly, just like 3 buildings away from where the fire was last night. So, but proud to announce one of the newest residents that we have. My mother-in-law just moved right across the street to
Yay.
Morningstar
Oh,
last
wonderful.
Thursday. So
That's awesome.
welcome her here.
That's awesome, Jay.
And that's all I have.
All right, well, that's a lot. 20 years, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay, Wynn?
Mine is short and sweet. I'm looking forward to attending Mary Louise Lee in her performance on Saturday evening and to my own 28 square feet of personal space. And that is it.
All right, Wynn. Kath?
I would just say thanks to Seth for attending with me. The Partnership of Douglas County Governments got together in person for the first time since this happened. And I gotta say, I know Jay missed, but it was lovely to see all those people again. And I forgot how much I really enjoy hearing from each district on that kind of cadence. It's a really wonderful way to keep up with what's happening in each of those locations. We were socially distanced and we wore our masks and we had special breakfast served. So everyone did a really great job. But I think the highlight for me was we had Dr. Douglas from Tri-County present, and he presented from the perspective of really understanding the disease better. So he stayed away from all the conflict around masks and everything else right now, although he did touch on those things. But it was a really wonderful discussion on what's interesting about the disease, what they're learning about it. It was fascinating to learn. You guys probably already knew this, I didn't, that one of the most forward-thinking vaccines is being tested with Anschutz here in Colorado as part of trials. I think that's just remarkable that we get to be part of that trial. So I left feeling very buoyed that in all of the rhetoric that surrounds this, that there are people really deeply entrenched in learning about the disease in a way in which we might be able to do something to actually change its trajectory. So I felt like that was wonderful, and he's a really great speaker and certainly appreciated. He spent more than an hour presenting to the group, which is very, very generous given the stuff that he must have to deal with in his schedule. So that was a highlight of my week, and Seth did a fantastic job presenting on our behalf, and thanks for him for being there. So that's it for me.
Thanks. Well, I want to echo, and I think we all want to echo that thanks to South Metro Fire for their quick response and the safe resolution of the fire. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the Lone Tree Police Department, who were on the front lines of the response as well. Unfortunately, a dear friend of mine had a house fire in Lone Tree, and while the firefighters were keeping control on the inside and with the fire and the structure itself, it was actually the Lone Tree Police that provided that cordon of safety around it that allowed the firefighters to get in there and do that work. And it also kept some ne'er-do-wells from going in and scavenging in the house afterwards, and some shady business operators trying to slide cards in and out, and attorneys and everything else. So I think our police department has been called upon to do so much in the face of a lot. And I just want to let them know that while they don't get the flashing lights and sirens and cars like all the time for every incident that they do, that their thoughtful dedication every day, keeping us all safe, really does make a difference for us. And in the thinking of keeping us safe, I really also want to talk about how we as a community need to ensure that we're working together to keep each other safe. We had a very, very sad tragedy on a skateboard that happened in Lone Tree with somebody just riding a little too fast and without a helmet. And I think there are things that we all can be doing in our lives to take better care of ourselves and take care of our neighbors. It's your personal responsibility, but I am going to ask that when you are in and around and about doing business in the city of Lone Tree, that you choose to wear a face mask, that you choose to not make it as our president just said, it's a patriotic thing to do. It is something that takes care of the people around you, and it puts the shopkeepers and the people that work in our stores in better position where they can do their job and they don't have to worry about enforcing a mask ordinance, just like our police department doesn't need to worry about enforcing a mask ordinance. Let's be kind to each other. Let's care for each other. And the other thing I want to encourage everyone to do is shop locally. It has never been more important for your city for you to be spending your money within our borders. It supports the people that own businesses in our community. It supports the people that work in our community, and it brings revenue back to the city of Lone Tree, which allows us to have an awesome police department and a wonderful, dedicated, talented staff. The maintenance of our streets, the collection of our garbage, all of these things wouldn't be happening without the sales tax revenue in the city of Lone Tree. And I will let you all know that our sales tax is 50% of what it normally is. So we're going to, as a council, having to make some tough decisions about that. But we're a bright, shining star. Everything is going well for our community, but we do need you to shop locally. So thanks, staff. I want to thank my partners on council for your great work and dedication to this community. And we are adjourned.